Good morning and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and this morning it is my pleasure because I'm excited. We have Constance Thomas, who is the Diversity Marketing Events Coordinator for General Motors. She is also a wife and a mom of 4 beautiful Black boys, and she's also a cover girl. And so I want to welcome her to the show this morning where we're going to be talking about current topics about what's happening in the world today. But what we really want to hear is a mother's response. Good morning, Constance. Thank you for being on the show.
Good morning, Kim. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So it has been, I don't think when 2020 rolled in and we celebrated and we toasted that we thought that this would be how the year would turn out. It started out with COVID-19 and we were like, oh, we got to be in the house for a few months. And then it turned into wearing masks and washing our hands.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, things turned really crazy. What we thought was left. We saw Ahmaud Arbery murdered on video, being chased down and harassed and people trying to justify it. Then we heard about Breonna Taylor. Then we saw the horrific video with George Floyd. We turned around, there were protests across the country. The country and the world just seemed to erupt in protest and support for Black Lives Matter. We've seen Rayshard Brooks. We've seen, even in Detroit, there was an outrage over a police shooting on Friday, and there's controversy over whether the person, and I've seen video, so I can only speak to what I've seen. He looked like he drew a gun, so it seemed that the police's response was the way that it should have gone. I don't know. There are people that are saying that there are other things that were missing. Last week, I don't know if you saw it, there was a man by the name of Vox Booker who was in Indiana, and he was traveling across somebody's land. They took a shortcut, him and his friends, to go swimming. And some white guys tied him to a tree and tried to lynch him. Yes. And it's all on video. Okay, so we've seen all these videos. As a mom of 4 Black boys, what are your thoughts? Because your oldest son is almost an adult.
Yes.
And it is very hard because I'm a mom of 2 boys. Mm-hmm. I know I have an 11 going on a 12-year-old. He's almost my height. It scares me sometimes to let him go in the world because I know people think that he's an adult and he's not. He is still very much my baby, crawls in and falls into my lap. But these are questions that I know a lot of moms are having privately, and I don't think we've really heard from them.
So just to backtrack about what happened last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So last Friday, I actually went to, I had a beauty appointment last Friday. So I leave, I come back home. I'm tired. Everyone's home. We're resting, very quiet, listening to music, reading books, whatever. I take a nap. I normally have my phone next to me. This time I had my phone in our bedroom because I was laying down in our living room, my husband and I. And so heard it go off, didn't go get it. Heard it go off again. I was just relaxing, not even paying attention. And so then I finally just got up, went and grabbed my phone. And one of the messages was a group message that my husband is in too. So he's sitting on the couch. I'm sitting on the couch. So and I didn't think anything of it, like, okay. But then one of them, I had a girlfriend from Chicago text me and say, call me ASAP. So I'm just like, okay, my husband and I had to do something from the group chat message that we had. We needed to go help one of our friends out. And so I called her back. She said, it's too late now. I'm fine now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, Constance, there was a shooting on your street. And I was calling, and they said the age. At first, I think they said the 16-year-old at first. My oldest is 16. She was like, that they were walking. You know that's your child. So I know your boys walk in the neighborhood. They go to the store. They go to the Family Dollar. They go to the grocery store. She freaked out. Because she was like, this cannot be him. This cannot be my baby. Everybody take our children as their baby. But she was freaking out. And so when I came back from my appointment, and my husband earlier that day, he was like, yeah, there's a lot of commotion going on down the street. I don't know, because we kept seeing cars going down our street. And it was just like, okay, I was like, I don't know. Again, oblivious, literally oblivious. But then found out it was literally just a mile up from our home that it went down. So she was freaking out. She literally stayed on the phone. She called her mother. She said, I need you to find out the last name of this kid. And I'm not getting off the phone until we find out the last name of the kid. So I was like, well, I'm sorry I scared you. She said, literally, you were not picking up the phone. I was literally on my way to drive, get in my car and drive there or head to the airport and get a ticket like immediately. I didn't care. You weren't answering. So now she thought we were at the hospital. She thought, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So even that's, so I start there because that's how close it is to where it's literally down the street. Things are always happening. And people, close friends, family who follow me, who watch me, they know the ages of my boys. So that literally scared her, And I was blessed enough because somebody thought so much of me and my children to think of us, to say, I am not letting up until you answer. And she said, if you did not answer within the hour, and if my mother did not tell me, I was jumping in my car until I got to your house. I just was not playing. And so as a mom, it's things like that. We have had to have the talk again with our children. Just recently, probably about a month ago, we had the talk again, right? One thing I credit is Procter & Gamble with their commercials, the stare, the talk. They are very poignant. They are very relevant even more now than when they were just last year before last. You know, it didn't hit different for us. It hit different for everyone else. It doesn't hit different for us because that's what we deal with on a daily basis. We know. My husband always told our kids, don't put yourself, or as I grew up, my mother would say, don't put yourself in compromising situations, right? So don't put yourself in compromising situations. So though we tell our children, be careful, though we live in a predominantly Black city and our neighborhood is changing again, right? Because what I like to tell people is that, yeah, they're changing again, but I know where I grew up in Grandma Rosedale, we were heavily diverse. You know, some of those neighbors are still there. Just like in Palmer Woods and Sherwood Forest University District, East English Village, you know, Morningside, Greenacre, some of the neighbors never left. So it's not about, oh my gosh, gentrification has happened and it's changed. It's just like, no, that you're just seeing an influx of some of the kids coming back, or they're taking over their parents' homes. So our oldest son is 16, and he's tall now. He's taller than me. He's about to be as tall as his father. And we told them, you would be considered a big Black man. Though you are super skinny, you're frail, you're an introvert, we know you don't pose a threat, but to some people, you do. That's a lot to carry. That's a lot to want to put that extra burden on a child at that age when he's nothing but filled with love. So it's been very hard and very emotional. I had to tell myself, I did a post recently where I had to tell myself I had to breathe. Because when I watch a video, you know, I have my phone and I'll be like, and I realize that I stop breathing when I'm seeing things. And then after I close it, I'll do, and I feel my whole body just decompress. And I was like, I need to stop that. My son has showed me something where they were saying how in 44 states, 44 states, where police officers literally can rape, kill, like it's considered if they take you into custody. My son was like, Mom, look at that. I literally got scared because I was like, okay, I don't need you to start watching too much of that. Because one, you get angry. Two, you get scared. And then now you're dealing with your adolescent teenage mind where you don't talk to your parents. So you're consuming all of this and wait. And then now we have to deal with other things of depression, anxiety, panic attacks. That's a lot. That is a lot. And we pray every morning. I pray every morning because everybody's not up as early as I am. But then in the evening as a family, because we're home, collective prayer. We do collective prayer. and I make sure I pray over everyone. I pray over the idiot in office. I pray over everybody because we still need prayer. Whoever that is, Allah, God, whoever, whatever. Pray. I know I pray to God. I'm a God-fearing woman and my family is too. But it's mostly about prayer. And it's just, it really has been hard. It really has.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, sometimes we don't think about that. And I grew up in Grand Vermont, Rosedale too, and I live in Rosedale. And it's always interesting to me because we are having that influx of people that are coming back. And it's interesting because some of the new people that are moving in have this, I can make things better. I need to change things. You don't belong here type of attitude. And I always joke with people and I'm like, my family was here for a very long time and it's going to be here for a very long time. You just happen to find a gem in the city.
You found a gem in the city. And it was a meme that I saw that was so funny. It was like, white people, if you're going to move into a Black neighborhood, do not call on the Black man that's walking down the street who's been living here for forever.
Exactly.
You don't have the right to do that.
Right.
Can't call on something because you moved in. Now you're scared. If you're going to be scared in a predominantly Black neighborhood, you should have not moved in. And I thought that was a perfect way to say it. You moved into a predominantly Black neighborhood. So don't call on a man that you see just walking down the street and it's like, oh, he looks suspicious. And everybody else like, well, that's just Mr. Jones. He always walk at this time. Or, oh, that's such and such kid. They do nothing. They always walking up and down the street. They can't leave the block. So it's back, you know how it used to be when you were little. Go to that corner to that corner. You can do a square and that's it. So they keep going around. That's all they were.
That's as far as you can go.
That's exactly. As far as you can go. As far as you can go.
And you know, and it's funny that you say that because those are intricacies and things that we know as African American people where we're like, okay, this is how we grew up. Like you can go to this house. My parents, their rule was, I need to be able to see you. So if you're riding your bike, you can't go past XYZ's house because go past their house, then you've gone too far and I can't see you. And if something happens, I can't get to you. But I want to go back to, you were talking about your 16-year-old and the talk. So, you know, we talk about what the talk is, and the talk becomes that thing where we have to teach our young Black kids, especially our Black males, to sort of not be a threat, but at the same time, to still shine and be who they are. What advice would you give to moms and dads who are struggling with that?
I would say you would have to know your child's personality. Every child's personality is different. It's funny because since I have 4, 2 are the same. You have my oldest and my 3rd son, they are kind of the same. My 2nd and my 4th son, they are the same. My oldest and my 3rd son are like my husband. The other 2 are like me. The 2 are like me, are very social, they're talking, you know, not as, that's just how they are, they're out. My oldest and my 3rd, very closed in type of, very emotional, don't say much. They're like their father. And so, and I clown it because literally we tell our son, I'm like, you're so much like daddy. It is literally crazy, you know? So having that, but the thing is for my husband, the reason he was able to like maneuver, we'll say, and it's harder for my son is because when my husband was at elementary school, you had a group of people. And then when y'all left, you went off to high school with this group of people. As my son, we realized he's gone to probably 3 different schools. So the last school he was at, was okay. So then he went with a group of people going into middle school. Well, now with middle school, some kids went ventured off, but from his core group of people, he went off to school by himself. So where do you have your community of friends? How do you connect? And these kids don't know how to talk. They always stay on their phone. There's no really interpersonal. One thing, these kids don't have interpersonal relationships and communication of talking. So when you have that barrier, having the talk with your child turns into we got to unpack some things for you to understand what that looks like with a group of people, with no one by yourself. I mean, with you by yourself. This is how I feel. So you have to, and then be sensitive, right? You have to be sensitive to your children's personality. What is that personality? And I shared with another show that Kim, you said you are watching. If you remember, I spoke about how we didn't realize how sheltered we've been with our children. Okay. We were so sheltered with our children, not realizing it. And it was a good thing. But he was going into the 6th grade, and I forget who just got killed. And which I appreciate at that time, it was Henry Ford Academy School for Creative Studies, which is now U Prep Art and Design. But they had a series called Unapologetically Black with the kids. I think it was an amazing session. Had it Unapologetically Black, you had this young lady from NYU. She's a professor. She talked about this. She's talking to the kids. She showed a video. It's a video of our people in the 60s getting beat by dogs, getting hit by the hose, the burns and everything. My 16-year-old now did this. And he's still like this, sitting next to me. And you see him still. So I said, you okay? I was like, you've never seen this? You've never seen this before? I said, okay. It was a shock. So now we haven't talked about this. So now it was a shock to him, and he literally was stiff. Then we get home, and he's like, I'm just angry. I'm angry. I said, okay, hold on. So now we ain't trying to raise a angry black man. So I got to get home. We got to unpack dad. And I'm just like, all right, babe. Like, he's never seen this before. He was like, you sure? And again, we're so used to it. Like, sure, you ain't never seen this? You never seen anybody get sick by a dog? Come on, never seen da-da-da-da-da? And he's never seen that. So now it's just like, see, our child has been in this world of love, of support of people that don't look like him. That's one thing we love about the now U Prep family, which, you know, we appreciate so much, is that, and now my oldest is DPS, so now we're DPS family too. It was everybody. White males, black males, Indian, like everybody was in the school. So they only saw multicultural. They didn't see hate. So for my oldest to see that in the 6th grade, he was, ugh. So now I was like, okay, so they've never seen roots. Like we think about the things that they haven't seen, and it's like, all right, so how do we prepare them? Because I don't want you angry, but you need to understand. So being able to have that conversation and just talk. And now we have a really good relationship with our son where he's able to tell us his feelings, be able to talk to dad about certain things. So during COVID, when the school shut down, so I'm gonna switch there real quick. We're like, okay, all the kids are here, but then you're just civil unrest, the Civil War, social injustice. We was like, okay, I think it's time. Well, no, a couple months ago, I'll take that back. A couple months ago, we finally let our oldest son watch Boys in the Hood. I watch Boys in the Hood all the time. Boys in the Hood is one of my favorite movies. I think what John Singleton did was amazing. Boys in the Hood, I enjoy Boys in the Hood better than Minister Society. He hasn't watched that one yet. Boys in the Hood is like there. We let him watch that. So now we're like, you see what Trey did. You see what Doughboy did. You see the decisions they made. Like letting him see different aspects of a life. You need to understand this. So then during COVID, we welcomed Malcolm X. Even though I gave my child time to like read the book, boy, like read the book. You know, they're reading Between the World and Me. My oldest already finished Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. My second son is reading it now. But it's like we now have to do a crash course, if that makes sense, because everything is so social. So we're doing these crash courses in a way where it makes sense. I also, just to show you, I bought these books. So I go to The Vault of Midnight, which I truly enjoy. So this is the book I just bought called Making It Home.
Oh, wow.
It's talking about the migration, right? And, but it's in comic book form, which I think is great. So I just bought this. And then I bought this a couple weeks ago, March, the John Lewis comic books, each volume that the boys are going to start reading as well. Because it's like, we have to give it in a way where it's palatable. for them to digest, because this is not changing. It's going to get worse. With the thing in office, it's so much that it's like, well, how do I cope? So it's going to be more blatant disrespect, blatant racism. Though again, we don't really put them around that. We're not around things like that. But it's going to happen. So we have to do those. I've been doing it in just snippets, snackable ways, as in my world we call snackable content. So do it in snackable content ways, but then have the questions. So like the next one I need to find, I think they saw, but I can't remember, like higher learning. Now it's time to watch higher learning. Time to watch higher learning. It's time to watch South Central. It's time to watch Minister Society. But to be able to have those conversations. We're a Marvel family, so we love all Marvel comic books. So everybody thinks they are a deity type of superhero in my home. You know, I consider like Black Widow in the house because she was just the bomb, right? Natasha Romanoff was her name, I think. So I'm dealing with
Very good, Mom.
Thank you. You know, I'm dealing with Spider-Man and Iron Man and Thor and the Incredible Hulk. So these are the people that live in my home, right? So we have this imaginary world, but we still have to deal with the reality. And that stare is real. That talk is real. He's about to start driving. We're still in the hours of driving, right? So he's not on his own yet. My mother would tell us when we were younger, she said, when you guys would go out and drive, because I am one of 3 girls, I'm the middle of 3 girls. My mother was like, I would never sleep until you got home. She was like, even when you came back from college and you're 20-some years old, you come in the house, I still could not rest. She's like, I may be asleep, but I wasn't asleep. And it's just like, that happens now. Now I'm turning into that because he's getting older now. Okay, you went to the party. I mean, he's heavily involved. He was a golf caddy this year, just kind of crazy, but he's a golf caddy. My son is in the Kappa League. He played academic games. He played baseball. So very heavily involved, but now it's get to that point, okay, you're going to drive to your own Kappa League meeting. You're going to drive to your own party. And now it's like, and it's getting crazy. He wants to go away. Each child has no choice but to go to an HBCU. I did a short stint at an HBCU on to Florida A&M University. 2 of my sisters, my oldest stepsister and my youngest sister went to Howard. Stepfather went to Tougaloo, mother went to Kentucky State. We have Spelman Morehouse, we have Tuskegee, Alcorn, Oakwood, you name it, everybody that went somewhere. Best friends, Howard, Spelman, Morgan State, Bowie. But with everything that's going on, I'm like, do I want to send him to Alabama? Okay, do I really send him now? Though it's in a smaller community, Tuskegee, anyone, if you've never been, it is literally in the deep South. You're probably about 45 minutes away from Auburn University. Auburn. They were just in the news recently about something I can't think. But it's like, do I send him? What do I do? Maybe he should stay home. And I'm like totally going against what I said. Because in order for you to learn as a Black man, and I don't know what it is to be a Black man, but thankfully I have a wonderful husband. To be a Black man, you need to learn how to be on your own.
That's right.
Mom and dad can't be with you. So it's like, let him be away. He has family in Atlanta that's 2 hours away if they need to get to him, right? But it's still an amazing experience that I don't want to hinder him because of the craziness that's going on. My mother always used to pray for us. She would always say a legion of angels. A legion of angels is 6,000, you all, if you don't know. Legion of angels. A legion of angels go before. And me and my sisters would crack up every time. And now my children got a legion upon a legion. We said, Mom, you've been praying a legion to dispatch before us, before we leave here, go here, do that, do that. You do realize that it's still the angels from 1985 ain't even reached it yet because you've been tacking on angels on top of angels. They's probably like, can I help her yet? Because, you up there, you done helped her already. Can we go? Like, can we be dispatched to cover? Because they like, bruh, I've been here since 2000. Like, we in 2020 now. Like, I know you from the 80s. What can we do? It's kind of like, this constant thing. So that's when we have to trust our faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trust the Holy Spirit, the spirit of intuition, spirit of discernment, to be like, how do I handle this? Because emotionally, it's a lot. It's a lot. Sometimes my eyes just start watering. I'll be watching, my eyes just start watering. I'll be like, okay, is it my sinuses, or is it just, it's so much? Because you can just sit, when you sit, you'll just start crying. I know I have. I just sit and I just start crying. And I need to do a cleansing cry because it's so much inside. And I make sure I ask my kids every day, how you doing? Hey, Mom, how you doing? I'm good. You want to talk about anything? No. You fine? No. Can I go outside? Okay, great. But my oldest is like, how you doing? I was just kind of thinking about, and then we go in that moment, and it's about being present. I say that a lot. Be present, be in the moment, be you at the end of the day, but be open to what's around, not accept it, but be open and really see what's going on, because I just can't say it enough. It's a lot. It's a lot, you know. My oldest and my second oldest, but mostly my oldest would say, Mom, I realize that, you know, everybody else wants to be Black, but they don't want to be Black. I say, you are very true. It's been like that forever. He was like, they like our culture, but they don't like our skin.
That's right.
Don't even make sense. I said it don't, but think about it. Everything that has happened has been stolen from us. Everything that goes on, they want what we have. I said, so that means you have greatness in you that nobody can take away from you. He named himself when he was like in the second grade, Kamani Lee Awesome Thomas. It's just like, okay. It's like, he's like, because I'm awesome. He used to say that a lot. And now as he gets older, we remind him, and he'd be like, Mom. But it's just like, no, you're Kamani Lee Awesome Thomas. But also, naming our children, at first it's like, oh, I'm like 23 at this time. We're 23. And it's just like, oh, let's go with this African name. Then I was like, wait a minute. Is he going to get a job?
Right.
Now you think about those things, right? And I was so happy that babynames.com did an ad of all of the names of those who were killed. And it's just like, they were named too. It's okay. So we got to get out of that systematic racism of, okay, resume, ooh, nah, what? Rashard Aubrey, Malik, what? You know, huh? Like Fandy, what? Like, you don't want to do that. But we named Kamani, which I think it fits him. Kamani means great man. Kamani means great man, and it's just like, we named you. You are your name. Believing your name. That's why I think it's so important when parents name their children, really think about what you're naming them. Not about society, but about what they're carrying, because that's a part of their self-esteem. That's a part of who they are. And so it's so funny because it's just like, Kamani Lee, middle name is Lee, which is my grandfather's middle name. And we believe in acquiring our grandparents, ancestors, whatever, as their middle name and then their last name. So you have like Kamani Lee Thomas, but he's like Kamani Lee Awesome Thomas. We're like, okay, great man Thomas. So great man Awesome Thomas. Like, you know, you are all of this. You got to believe it within yourself. Adolescence is very hard, Kim. Oh my gosh, I'm just like, now I see what my mother was going through. You never really understand it. What is going on.
You don't.
You know, and I have boys. I don't have girls. So I have boys. So they're, and then you be like, you're hearing thuds and stuff, and it's like, okay, then when a kid falls now, or even after the second kid, first kid, they failed. People like, oh my gosh, are they okay? Are you bleeding? Is you bleeding? Are you crying? Do you need stitches? Okay, so he's fine. Leave him alone. Oh my gosh, you do that? We ain't got time for that because they about to do it in 2 more seconds. Like, it's a revolving thing. So as we've been managing this, we've just been taking time with each other. Like I say, prayer, for us, prayer is definitely that time when we're together. Because it's just like, it's how we're moving forward. But then also we watch fun shows like we're going to do today. Everybody's home. My husband's off today. You know, I love watching the Netflix series, Everybody Feed Phil. I think the quirkiest man ever.
Okay.
He is this older white man that travels the world and eats. So you got Everybody Feeds Phil, then you got Dangerous, Delicious. So we watch our food shows, you know, but then I still have to sit and watch Dragon Ball Z because we gotta watch Dragon Ball Z. So we have those moments where it's light, but then we're also gonna talk about other things. We're gonna talk about sports. I saw this thing on YouTube. I think Embracing Black Culture had did it, not YouTube, on their IG channel, and it was like anime come to life, and it was Black characters. And I saw it. My husband is like, no IG, no Facebook, no nothing. That is for the safety and sanctity of our marriage. So mothers, wives, you know, you gotta do what's right for y'all. That don't work for us.
Exactly.
I am the social one. Let me handle all social, not you, okay? Because that's how you keep a rock solid marriage, okay? I'm just putting that there. Think about that. Marinate on that. So anyways, I sent it to myself and the boys and Christopher. And next, you know, it was such a beautiful thing because I don't know what's going on. So now I was like, is that the Ronicon, blah, blah, blah. Nah, Dad, that's a such and such, such and such. So they're literally having this dialogue through text message from this video talking about Dragon Ball. And it's just like having moments like that. What my husband does, what he tries to do, he has a day out with each kid once a month. Having that little baby time. Well, he's not a baby, he is 5. Thomas Boy 4 time with the daddy, them. Thomas Boy 3 and him. 2 and 1. And they do things separately where it's just the two of them. That male, and my husband comes from a lot of men in his family. So 4 brothers and 1 sister came like 13 boys and like 5 girls, and then our children came and it's like 25 something boys and like 10 girls. It's ridiculous. So Thomas's breed, which I think is amazing, right? So I say all that to say, being able to have that male time, those 2 times for Dad to impart wisdom into them where a mother can't say, because I'm gonna be loving, even though I'm very hard, I am not I'll be like, I'm like, I am a boy's mom, I'm not a girl's mother. But having that time for a man to speak to a young man is important. And for that man to be vulnerable. See what happens, which I think is interesting. We're going through, and I'm hearing this, and I have to buy the book, Post-Traumatic Slave Depression Syndrome. It's like everything that we're going through right now, you're hearing about that, that's real. So that turns into generational curses, which turns into a generational post-traumatic stress syndrome, which turns into anger begets anger and anger. And now this young kid who's angry don't even know why he's angry. Exactly. You upset about it, and you don't even know why. Because somebody up there above before you did not address the trauma. That's what I've been saying. We are dealing with trauma, y'all. This is a lot of trauma, period. COVID is trauma. Everybody knows somebody or who is one person away of knowing somebody who died of COVID. Currently, I have one line sister that currently has COVID. I had about 4 line sisters in the beginning who had COVID. Nobody died, thankfully, but it was bad, right? That's trauma. Then we're stuck in the house when everybody's so used to being gone, right? Me as a mother, I'm happy. There's no hockey, no baseball, no academic games, no soccer, no swimming, we all home. We're okay. I like my husband. And I don't like him every day. I like my husband, so we okay. Because it's like, oh, you're home. Because he gets busy. I'm busy. I'm not traveling, Kim. You know, normally I'm traveling. All right. I'm not traveling, right? So with that being said, we've been home and it's just been a blessing because we have roof, lights, food. My children want for nothing. I can't say that for everybody. So we're not dealing with that trauma, but there are other people who are dealing with that trauma. Homeless shelters and domestic violence shelters are not taking people. You know, that's a lot. So then if you have children, how do you, where are we going? What were you doing? That's scary. So having the boys and making sure they're not seriously dealing with trauma, making sure that they can express their feelings is very important to us because it's a lot. I go back to that. It's a lot. You're dealing with trauma and you're constantly seeing things. So again, we got to control what our kids are seeing and watching and playing, listening to. It was so funny. The other day, my dog got a semi-cut because he is very aggressive, though he's a Shih Tzu and he's crazy and he's 70 years old because he's 10. And he'll be 10 next month. And so he comes out, my niece came by and she's like, oh, he looks like, I used to call him Chewy because his hair was so fluffy, literally the color of Chewbacca. Now he's somewhat cut and he looks like the dragon from Never-Ending Story. So then my child says, the oldest one, Never-Ending Story, we have failed you as parents. Like my husband and I feel like we fail our kids so much. Yeah, you watch Never-Ending Story? Now, again, Boys in the Hood, that's the reason why you ain't watch that yet. Never-Ending Story, like, dude, what's going on? How did we fail you as a parent that you have never watched Never-Ending Story? He's like, I think I started, but I fell asleep. So we have those moments of we feel failing as, I'm like, I am failing you as a mother. Certain songs. You've never heard, I am failing you as a mother. But they are old souls too. And I think that's what kind of helps, right? You know, our kids will listen to Michael Jackson. They will listen to the Charlie Brown, Vince, you know, music. We love The Wiz. We love, now they've been on Muppets Take Manhattan again. Like it's just on rotation, you know, so Thundercats and things like that. Again, Dragon Ball Z. We take it back to where things were simple with our kids. And I think that's where, as parents, we have to put that barrier up. Keep it simple. They don't need to be exposed to everything. Like some kids, you'll see videos, these little kids rapping every word song, and they be like 3, and you like, why do you even know this Cardi B song? I don't even know Cardi B. Why do you know Meg Thee Stallion song? I don't even know. And those are just two, like, I don't know nothing about the City Girls or what them girls' names is, and I don't know. And my husband was like, you need to listen to the radio, baby. You need to understand what they're listening to. I said, that's what I got you for, because you know the words. Like, I'm not listening. I'm listening to my XM. I'm listening to R&B, right? But you have to have that balance, right? Give them exposed so they'll know what their world looks like, and also show the world that we come from, where their grandparents come from. Know your history. Don't totally ingest it. Don't ingest the trauma. Understand it, see where the faults are, see where you impact a change in the world. What are you going to give to society as a Black male? What is your gift? And that's what I talked to my son the other day. We were dealing with some things and he was dealing with some things and we were just kind of talking and I said, you worried about past things? That was a moment. Grades are a moment. What do you do to change it? What do you do to change it? So with these kids today, they feel like they're supposed to know everything. Literally, it's the generation thing. They're just supposed to know it. So if they don't know it, they don't do the work. If they don't know it, they just shut down. No, you can't do that. You have to, okay, I didn't have it. I got to move forward. Just like with playing sports. I'm that parent. Everybody don't get a trophy. You don't get a participation trophy. You ain't win nothing. There are winners and losers, period. But it's like, everybody is a winner. No. And I think that's an issue too, right? That's part of some people's privilege because you think everybody's supposed to get something. No, everybody don't get nothing. Just like all lives matter, we get it, but that's not the ones that's in jeopardy. It's the Black lives matter. The lives of Black people is what matters. So that's the focus. So it's the same thing of winning and losing. There's a winner and a loser. Now, we don't yell at our kids, you want to be a loser? We don't say that. It's like, yo, bro, like if you're trying to win, you need to put in the work. You only get to becoming great by putting in the work. And that's what I said to him. The grades only change when you really put in the work. You got to do it in order for it to change. But if you don't do it, it's going to stay the same. And so that's where we are in our journey with our kids now. I think with education, thankfully, again, blessed enough to have enough technology, to have enough um, access, they can continue their growth. Whereas right now, you have kids who don't have access. So what they see is only their block radius. And I think that's what happened with a lot of our young men sometimes. They get stuck on a block.
Yep.
You got to leave the block in order to grow. You got to leave that square. If that's 5 block radius, 10 block radius, 6 miles to 7 miles, 7 miles, 5 miles to 6, whatever, thinking to whatever. You got to get out of that block. And there are a lot of amazing organizations, but then this also comes to mentors and other people reaching out. That's why teachers are so important. Teachers are so important because they don't just take on being a teacher. Sometimes they become that mother and that father. They become that legal guardian. I have a cousin who has a program called Closing the Gap, strictly for high school students. She helps them get to college. And she is a Grambling graduate, and she's going to push HBCUs if that's the case, right? But it was I remember a story. She had one student, she never met the parent. Never met the parent until it's time for her to pick the kid up. My cousin was picking the kid up to take them to school down south. But that's trauma from something where the mother didn't have it out, but this kid saw that. But the kid had somebody else from the outside nurturing them. And I think if every child is nurtured, I think is that if every child is seen, because a lot of these kids feel like they're not seen. And I think that's what it comes down to. They need to be seen. Just see them for who they are. Understand who they are. Understand their being, because you find out their personality when you talk to them. Let them know, I hear you, I see you. Let's talk about it. How does that affect you? And now how do we help you heal? Or how do we continue to make you grow? And I think that's where I am as a mom, and a thing that I would like really give to women and mothers and fathers too. Really listen to your kids. Just pay attention to them. Pay attention to the ways of how they act. You can tell when they're down. They ain't got to say nothing. You see it in their mannerisms. But you just have to just be present, really be present, and take the time to get away from your cell phone, put your book down, put your tablet down, and just listen. Because they'll get to talking. Literally, my young child would just get to talking, and we be like, and then they feel better. And that's what they stop listening, because all you did was listen to them. And I think that's how we heal. That's how we move forward. That's how we get through this COVID. We get through this civil unrest. Because they're seeing things, and then sometimes they have emotions within them that they don't even know what that is. But that's a genetic thing. That's post-traumatic slavery stress syndrome. That is the trauma from whoever that is just that I probably carry, but it never came out. I saw it through, but again, I'm the carrier. You got something or felt something, and now it's in you. And that's where it's like transferring of spirits are real. I'm a believer in that. Transferring of spirits is real, and that can happen. That's why you have to be protective of who you're around. And again, my husband and I have sheltered our kids so much, have protected them, because we're believers in that energy, the people you're around, who are your influencers? What are you don't need to watch that right now. Something that don't feel right, turn it off. I don't really care about that person. Leave them alone. My mother used to say that a lot. I don't like them. I don't want this person over this house ever again. I'd be like, and I'd be like, okay. And I just will disassociate myself with them, right? We are their protectors right now. We cannot let them think for themselves. But we also have to listen to them. Let's really listen to them. Don't question them. Listen to them, because that's how they continue that dialogue. They tell you about more and more and even heavier things. But you got to listen to the little things first to understand your child, to understand how they're feeling. So when they pray, the baby will be like, and I just want to go back outside where we can see everybody outside. And the other ones are, during their time, because everybody has their chants every night. watch everybody over COVID whenever we get this. You know, they know it. They realize it because they're not with their friends. Let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
You at home with your parents.
Right.
They are not my third, well, he's a now fourth grader.
Mm-hmm.
You're not with your friends. My little one is used to being in pre-K with his classroom. But my friends and my teachers, I want to, thankfully, the older kids would have their Zoom class, so they see their friends. But the baby would say, I want a Zoom meeting with my friends. I had to call the teacher, like, can we create something for him to interact with some of the other kids? That's a lot. So we got to talk about this because it's not changing. We're thinking about going back to the schools, right? And going into the system. But what does that look like? Every parent isn't going to send them. We got to find out. We have to find, we're not going back to normal. We have to find our new standard way of life. As I said, I don't want to say the new abnormal. This is abnormal. So we have a new abnormal going on. But we're not going back to normal. Because if we go back to normal, we go back to systematic racism. We go back to injustices. We go back to hatred. We go back to bigotry. Woman hating means all of that. We go back to that. So I think this is a great time. It's a great time, but it's an uncomfortable time. People are being a lot more upfront about conversations. And I will say we don't care anymore, if that makes sense. You know what? I'm gonna tell my white colleagues we about to have this conversation because now if you're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about this. I'm gonna talk about it. You can't halfway talk about it. Say we're going to acknowledge something. No, because if we're going to slightly not, I'm gonna tell you what it is for me. And I've actually done that in a few of my meetings at work. Is that I've had to really had an honest conversation. And one of them was check your biases. Check yourself internally. I literally said that. I said, check yourself internally because I can't breathe. This isn't the first time we heard this. It came from Eric Garner. This isn't the first time we heard it. So I need you to acknowledge that the only reason we're acknowledging things right now is because we're in a pandemic and everybody's home, so everybody's seeing everything. This is not the first time we heard I can't breathe. Eric Gardner said it first. You need to acknowledge that, but you also need to understand and see and check yourself internally what your biases are because we all have them. But check them and see and understand what the problem is and really understand and dive deep on what that looks like and why we are talking about what we're talking about. The one meeting I said myself and there was another colleague, I said, our skin is considered a threat, period. My skin. And then I'm raising 4 boys, having to have the talk again and again. And they don't even really go nowhere, but I'm still, that's the crazy part. I'm having a talk and we ain't even going nowhere. You're not even going nowhere. How asinine is that? I am having the talk and we're not even going nowhere. And I'm like, y'all be careful. Be careful. That's pain that I have to have and we're not going anywhere. And I told him, I said, if your circle consists of people that does not look like you at all, you need to expand your territory. And that goes for us too. We need to expand our territory. But I think we as a people are so loving and open and caring and giving and everything. We'll talk to people. Certain people. And we got to change that too.
We definitely do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Constance. You unpacked so much stuff for us.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to try to summarize this real quick because we only have a few more minutes. But I just want to capitalize on what you just said when you were talking about people and having the talk and not understanding that we're not even going anywhere, but you still have to have the talk. As Black people, as African Americans, folk of color, however you identify, even mundane things of, I'm going to the store, Mom. I want to go buy some Skittles. I want to go buy an iced tea, Trayvon Martin. Or I just want to walk up to the gas station and go buy some chips could end your life because somebody, as you said, accurately so, is threatened by your skin. You appear to be a threat because you are larger. And if you have not had the talk, don't understand how to comport yourself, you may not survive it. And you will literally become a story on the news. Your family will sue. There will be a 15-second conversation media-wise where they'll say, oh, this is a tragedy. It happened. Somebody will write your family a check, but you will still be gone. And that family will have to go on and grieve. And for people who always say, well, you know, the family was paid. I said, but that doesn't replace the life that was lost. It doesn't replace the genius that society lost, because who knows what that child may have been able to do, what that person could have done, or how they could have contributed. I think that when you talk about being present as a parent, about being that barrier, a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us have to take time to protect ourselves mentally. So it was great to hear you talk about how you guys watch fun things. We are also a DC Marvel family. I am Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So, you know, there's a lot of characters that happen in our house. You know, you've seen us at Halloween time, during Comic-Con, when we're all dressed up, and people are like, for real? I'm like, yeah, it's going down. It's going down. It's serious. But that's what happens when you're a boy mom. You know, it's cool to be a girl mom, but boys, it's something special about boys and dirt and superheroes and, you know, weird things. So my kids love YouTube. And they have YouTubers that they follow. So, you know, we talk about it. And I have to tell my husband, I'm like, you have to pay attention, because we have to make sure that they're watching appropriate things. Because there are some things on the internet and YouTube where they embed images. And there was this big thing last year about the Momo. And my youngest son saw it, and it was crazy. And we had to have a conversation about it. He was okay. He said, Mommy, I thought, and I just put the tablet down until it went away. And then when he picked it back up, it was gone. I said, okay, thankfully. But again, these are things that you deal with. You know, I'm glad that you mentioned the vault at midnight. Me and the boys and my husband actually had an opportunity to go last summer. We haven't had a chance to get back, but we definitely are. We have to check out those books that we were talking about. But we picked up a book that had a Superman character that was dealing with the Ku Klux Klan and protecting a family.
Yes,
so it's very important. It is.
Yes,
so
I think we have that one. I think my husband has. Yes,
that is a good one. My oldest son liked that book.
Yes.
And and I was having a conversation with another friend of mine who's a historian, and we were talking about it. And we were having a conversation about the monuments and the importance, and should they be removed, should they not be removed? And I said, but we have history in books. And she said, and people don't read books. So what are we talking about? And so again, as a family, having a conversation where you're reading books, you're introducing your kids to different movies so they can see it. We let our oldest son watch The Hate U Give. And specifically, and that's a good one too. And specifically because I needed him to see the whole issue of, you can't do what you want to do. You have to listen and pay attention, because if you don't, a police officer could mistake you're not listening for something else and kill you, like he did in the movie. Instead of just thinking, oh, he's being a dumb kid and he's just not listening and he's being defiant. Being a parent also means being at home, being engaged, being present, listening to your kids. My oldest son is a talker, and he's like your oldest son. He will come to me, or I'll look at him, what's going on with you? You okay? And he'll be like, yeah. I'm like, what's wrong? Talk to me. And then, we'll end up having a conversation, and he loves to talk. My youngest son, I got to pull him a little bit. I sort of cuddle with him, and I'm like, well, tell mommy what's going on. He's 7. So, he tries to be my big, strong boy at times. But then at times he's like, well, mommy, I'm upset. Well, tell mommy what's wrong. Come on, have a seat. It has to be a little bit more of a pull, but still, the important thing is they know that they can listen to us and that they can talk to us. I showed my oldest son Roots, the original. He got halfway through the first episode and said, Mommy, I can't watch it. This is too much. And so I get it. A lot of the kids that, we're having these conversations or seeing these things on the news have probably never seen it.
Never.
And schools are doing a horrible job at showcasing what our history is, because we only talk about Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman. Yeah, you know it.
It drives
Rosa Parks. and Rosa Parks, like
Love
that is
them, but it drives
all
me
of
crazy.
right. And like that's all our history. So one of the things that we did every day during Black History Month, even though we talk about it all throughout the year, but specifically for Black History Month, we studied a different person at each day that they would not be familiar with. We pulled like a list of 100 underwritten or unknown Black heroes from Black history or something like that, and just pulled a lot of different people and learned a lot as a family. I think when you talk about how your girlfriend in Chicago was worried about your son down the street,
Yeah.
so many times, and I tell people this all the time, I said, there's so much going on in the world, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You can walk outside your door. You know, in major cities across this country, we've had people who've literally been shot at a barbecue.
A barbecue.
Yep, a barbecue. You're just sitting in the backyard, everybody's hanging out, the family is together, and somebody walks up and shoots.
Yep.
We hear this on the news every night. We hear it on the national news when they're talking about Chicago, they're talking about Atlanta, they're talking about Detroit, DC, LA, wherever you want to. And we know these stereotypes about Black people, that we're violent, that we're lazy, that we're uneducated, and all these wonderful things that people think about us. But then when reality comes and they are confronted with some of those untruths, they're confused. And so we have to continue to tell our kids, you are great. So when you're telling the story about Kamani being awesome and how he named himself and how you still remind him of that, it is important that we uplift our kids, that we let them know that they are all talented, God-given, supposed to be here people.
He's supposed to be here.
You're supposed to be here. God brought you here.
Yeah.
He gave you to me as my child.
Mm-hmm.
I am your parent. I love you and I protect you. But you are supposed to be here, and you are supposed to do some wonderful things.
Yeah.
Whew, you gave me a lot to unpack. But I thank you, Constance Thomas, for coming on the show today. Tell us how we can follow you, because you do a lot in the community, and corporate wise, you do a lot with General Motors. And then I know you do things on a personal level where you share your adventures as a mom of 4 boys.
Yeah.
And cover girl.
Right. So, spoiler alert, I'll say this at the end because I realized we hadn't talked since things have transpired. Mm-hmm. But I am not with General Motors anymore. And I say, no. So I am not with General Motors anymore, but I am now with Detroit Public Schools Community District. And I am now their new diversity, their campaign marketing manager. So it's not dealing with diversity because, again, DPS is completely diverse, right? Mm-hmm. So I am now the new campaign marketing manager with Detroit Public Schools Community District, which I am very excited about because it's dealing with children and education and telling the stories of the district. I am the product of DPS as a high schooler. Again, my son's a DPS. Knowing the great things that Superintendent Beatty has going on with the kids. One thing I will say for those that are watching, if you do have a Detroit Public Schools student and you saw the thing about the free tablets, every child gets a tablet. Shameless plug, Kim, but I need to say this because I've been having to put it on my post too and really talk about this because we picked up Kamani's. Mm-hmm. Every child has their name on a tablet. There's 51,000 students that attend Detroit Public School. That's 51,000 tablets that are free with internet access on it for 6 months. So when we talked about having access, they have access. They just have to get to them. So I just say that. So this is just new. So this is a transition. So again, but I have 5 wonderful years in multicultural marketing, diversity marketing at General Motors, where we had a program called Discover the Unexpected, which is a fellowship program for HBCU students, a journalism program where they work at the Black Press, the Atlanta Voice, the Washington Informer, the New Amsterdam, the Louisiana Weekly, the North Carolinian, the Chicago Defender, and many other papers that are ran by African Americans, which I think is still important. We still need to watch and support the Michigan Chronicle here in Detroit. You know, we need to support our Black papers. So that is an amazing thing that I helped create 5 years ago, which is very near and dear to my heart. I still talk to my kids to this day. I'm a mama bear. As Kim would know you all, I still keep in touch with my children that I worked with from years past. So my Instagram handle is Miss Connie T. That's MSCONNIET. I talk about, my hashtag is Mama4Boys, my life as a cover girl. I just pegged that years ago because I just thought it was really cute when American's Next Top Model has started. Like, oh, that's cute, I'm a cover girl. And then I just started to use it. And what's happening, it stuck with me. Nothing against cover girl. I don't want to try to, like I ain't like, so I ain't trademarking, but I just use that because a lot of people reach out to me. I am on LinkedIn as Constance Thomas. You can definitely reach me out there. And again, Constance Thomas on Facebook as well. But most recently, like I said, which is easier, is Instagram. So Miss Connie T at Instagram. So it has been a pleasure. And I wanted to leave also with you all. You talked about the different things. Unique Jones Gibson, who is the creator of Because of Them We Can, which is my beautiful soror, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She created monthly boxes, monthly historical Black boxes for children. So Chase gets a box every month, and it is a different person in Black history. You got the Greensboro Four. So my kids learned about the Greensboro Four. You learned about Charles Woodson. We learned about Eric Morris. And like, they are learning about people, to your point, Kim. It's not just Martin. It's not just Malcolm. It's not just, got something on Stevie Wonder, and then they get a lanyard. They get this lanyard and they get pens of each month. So he's growing his pen lanyard of the different programs. The Black Panthers, he got a whole thing about the Black Panthers. So he got a beret, he got a t-shirt, he got a backpack, like all these different things that is conducive to younger children. So I would submit to everyone to go to Because of Them We Can, sign up for their subscription box. It's about $29.99, but you get it every month, and your child learns Black history or a certain time outside of what we teach them. Every month they get something about where they come from, of people who made a difference in our society today. Shirley Chisholm was another one they did, like Unbothered, and like this whole shirt and stuff. It's amazing. So really, that's another good way for moms, not just for boys, girls, to dive into that, and that helps our kids learning stuff because it's teaching them on their level, from an elementary level, to understand what Black history is all about.
Thank you, Constance Thomas. I appreciate all of that information. If you could send me that, I'll attach it to the video. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. You have been watching the Kim B. Davis Show. Tune in for our next episode. And remember, always be magnificent.
Bye, you guys.